Hello and welcome. I was preparing the peanut butter so that this one doesn't bother our class. Perfect. All right. Welcome to Yoga Foundations. Let's see if that's good. I need to put this up. I think that's a little bit better. Hopefully that doesn't fall. Okay, well, welcome to Yoga Foundations, Monday night here. Oh, I'm sorry, we're restreaming. I'm trying to train myself to not reference this as Monday since it also gets restreamed Wednesday and Friday morning. So whatever time of day it is, welcome. And I hope you are ready and enjoy the practice. Remember that your yoga practice is really for you. So the things that I will suggest are just guidelines. They're things that you might choose to participate in, or you can always skip them if they don't feel appropriate for your body. You can modify them in any way to help support whatever your body's needs are. The most important part of our yoga practice is that we are aware of our breath throughout our practice. And so what dictates a good warrior one is not necessarily how long we can hold it or how deep we can stay into the posture, you know, how perfectly straight our arms are, but can we rest in the comfort of our breath rather than feeling like we're breath holding or laboring our breathing in any type of way. So just keep that in mind throughout your practice, that the breath is essential, because the breath is what's going to help connect you to that inner spirit and the stillness within. So if we can come back to just that, that's all that really matters at the end of the day. So let's come to a comfortable seat. Oh, and I might as well make this announcement now. There's something happening. So yeah. If you haven't picked up on my videos in the past couple months, then I don't know, it's been getting harder and harder to hide. So we are doing forms of prenatal yoga because that's what I'm doing, but there's a lot of overlap with gentle yoga and restorative yoga, and it's amazing what actually you can do during pregnancy. You can do quite a bit. So if you see me modifying, that's why, but you do whatever you need to do for your work level. So, okay, so we'll come to a comfortable seat, whatever that means for you. Legs can be crossed, you can kneel, you can have them kicked out straight, whatever feels right. Let's rest our hands on top of our knees. Let's take our shoulders before even closing our eyes, and let's just do a few shoulder rolls all the way up, back and down. And I want you to really feel the sensation of when you bring your shoulders back and down. That's the most essential part of the motion that we all typically need. We're all really good at this, but we're all not so great at back and down. So really kind of just feel into the direction of the shoulders when you create that part of the circle. Good, let's take them all the way up, all the way back, all the way down, and I want you to rest them in that down position. And as the shoulders drop down, allow that head and neck to also lift upward so that the crown becomes taller. And then you can rest your hands on your knees or on your lap in any way that feels comfortable. Let's close our eyes. And just take a moment to inhale through your nose, feeling the full sensation against the nostrils. And then exhale through the nose, feeling the release coming from the depths of your tummy. See if you can begin to create some sound to your breath. Go ahead and continue with the breathing, but this time just tuck your chin towards your chest. You can keep your eyes in a closed position. Try not to let your shoulders round. Experience that sensation of pinching between the shoulder blades still, so that the sensation is truly felt on the back of the neck. And let's take 3 more full cycles of breath here. Very nice. And then slowly lift your head and neck back up. Lifting through the crown of your head, you can start to take your gaze into a soft look down towards the floor or towards the screen in front of you. Let's lift up once again tall through our spine, just appreciating how even our intention of sitting tall can feel powerful. And we're going to take the hands, bring them into prayer. Inhale, rising them up above the head. As you exhale, we're going to parch the arms and bring them down into goalpost or goddess as we glide the elbows back towards the center of our body, bringing the hands back to prayer. Inhale, rising all the way back up. Exhale, lowering the arms down, bringing the elbows in contact with the ribs. Hands back to prayer. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, opening and fanning, bringing the arms back down. Hands back to prayer. Just take the chin and rest it on the tips of your fingers for a moment, and then push your head and neck back into extension if that feels comfortable. If not, just keep it neutral. And just feel the throat stretch. Feel the sensation of release at the back of the neck. And then drop the chin back down. And you can rest one hand on your lap. This is going to seem a little different, but I want you to feel the sensation of contracting your neck in a supportive way. So we all tend to be a little bit more forward, head and neck. So first, see if you can align the ears right above the shoulders, and you're going to take your chin and just tuck it so that it's almost locked in that position. Not super intense, but enough where it's not going to change position. And then we're going to take our index finger and press right at the third eye. And I want you to press against your forehead and press your forehead against your finger, but I don't want there to be any movement. So even though you're moving your forehead towards your finger, you're not actually moving the position of the neck. You still want to keep the chin tucked. We're going to press into the third eye. You can take your gaze right towards that third eye, and then just hold that little engagement for a few cycles of breath, feeling the release in the back of the neck by engaging the stabilizers of the neck, while also stimulating the third eye, bringing intuition and clairvoyance into our consciousness. Excellent. Let's go ahead and just release that hand back down towards our lap. And, well, I was planning to scoot back. Can you move back, please? Thank you. All right, and we're going to take one leg out straight while one leg is bent so that it's touching the inner thigh. We're going to really get those calves opened up today. So flex the toes back towards your face. And if you can't reach your toes, you have a couple different options. You can use a strap, or you can use a belt, something that you can loop around the ball of the foot so you've got some leverage. You can also bend the knee, take your hands and find your grip around your foot, even though the thigh is coming in contact with the belly, and then start to push the heel out, and the leg may not become perfectly straight, and that's still okay. You're going to feel a stretch on the back of those calves, and then over time you can continue to straighten out. So whichever grip you've chosen, whether you're using an object, if you can reach your toes, or if you want to have the bent knee starting position, we're going to take our forehead and bring it as close down towards the shin and the knee as possible. And then as you keep breathing, see if you can get the legs straighter, or if your leg's already straight, pull your body a little closer towards that knee. Just a couple more cycles of breath here, nice and long hold. You can start to release the grip that you have and use the floor to support your body as you rise back up to a seated position. We're going to keep that leg extended out as we place our right hand on the side of our right hip, and the left hand we're going to rise up into a side bend stretch. You can then slide the right hand out into like a kickstand, taking a really nice stretch to the left torso. You can have an elbow bent or straight for that right arm, whatever feels more supportive for you, but try not to let the chest collapse, whatever you're deciding to do. Try and let it become open. So maybe bending it allows you to rotate through the trunk, or maybe straightening it allows you to have some leverage through the chest. Either way, we want to let that chest lift towards the sky and keep reaching through those fingertips so that the intention is still length. And then just check in with your left hip, and if it feels like it's rising up with you, maybe you just choose to push it down towards the floor. Even kind of pushing that outer knee towards the mat or the floor is going to be a good intention. The gaze can be forward, or you can perhaps start to take that gaze up towards the ceiling, letting the neck rotate. Let's begin to rise, coming back up nice and tall. We're going to take that same left hand and just place it on the outside of the right knee, and then use your other arm to just create a gentle twist over the right shoulder. You can use the leverage of pushing the back of the palm or pushing the palm forward, whatever allows you to get that gentle twist. And then I'm just propped up on my fingertips behind my body to help keep my spine tall. Maybe the head and neck can rotate looking over that right shoulder. And maybe if you take your neck as far as you can go, you might start to take your eyeballs all the way to the right side, and it sounds kind of silly, but the body will follow where the gaze is. So the further you can let your gaze go in that direction, eventually the breath will start to take you a little bit deeper. We're going to slowly start to take ourselves back to the center with an inhalation breath as we come back neutral. And we're going to go ahead and switch to the other side. So our left leg will come out straight, our right leg will come in bent. And then again, the same options, looping something over the foot if you've got a strap or a belt or something handy. Dog leash works great, unless you want to trick your dogs into thinking they're getting a walk. You can bend the knee, take your hands, clasp it around the foot so that you've got that leverage. Again, this can also be with the assistance of a prop. And then you can start to take the leg out straight. There are a couple different muscles on the back of the knee and the back of the ankle. One that is better stretched when the knee is straight, and one that is better stretched when the knee is bent, which is why we're taking some of these modifications so that we're very well-rounded in how we're addressing the back of the knees. And so then you can take your forehead and attempt to touch down towards the knee or the shin, or if you do have the knee bent, it should be a little bit closer to achieve. And you can certainly just rest the forehead on top as you slowly try to extend the leg into a straighter position as the body releases. Send your breath to those tight areas so that it just feels like it's melting in that direction. Just a couple more cycles of breath here. You can start to release and use the floor to help push your body back up to a nice upright position. I just have to clear the screen for a sec. There we go. And then we're going to take the same sequence on this side. So left hand comes to the side of the left hip, right hand is going to lift up towards the sky. You can kickstand or use the elbow just as any type of support as you reach up nice and tall and expose that right side body, letting the ribs lengthen, letting the trunk and torso begin to lengthen. Start to push down through the right hip and knee into the floor and continue to reach up through those fingertips, reminding our trunk that we want to rotate just slightly so that the chest is not collapsing downward, but rather angling up towards the sky. And that may come from a bent elbow or it may come from a straight elbow, just depending on what feels right for your body. And we'll keep that intention of upward reaching, and then the gaze may choose to change if that feels comfortable for the neck. A few cycles of breath here. So nice when you use that exhalation breath and just feel your body lengthening as you're breathing. It's just wonderful. Let's take that arm all the way back up, nice and straight, sliding the left hand to the side of the hip, dropping that left hand somewhere to the outside of that thigh or knee, and using the leverage of the back of the palm or the actual palm. Taking my left hand and swiveling it around, lifting up tall through the spine, and just creating a nice twist in the body. Looking all the way over the left shoulder with the neck, and then all the way over the left with your gaze. Using your breath of inhalation up, exhalation twist. Let's go ahead and start to take the body back to the center with an inhalation as we rotate neutral. And we're going to just let both legs go out straight. Just kind of lift up the knees and wobble them around a little bit, letting the blood flow penetrate through the rest of the thighs. And then we're going to start to bend the knees again, taking the soles of the feet together. And you can cup your hands to the outside of the ankles or to the feet, whatever feels comfortable. Bring them as close to your body as possible. We're gonna pull like a row. We're gonna row our chest towards the toes and actively push those thighs down towards the floor. Or if you can keep the spine straight, you can use the elbows for some assistance to help guide those knees closer to the mat, getting the groin and the inner thigh tissues nice and lengthened. So I'm going to keep reaching long out of the crown of my head and reaching with my chest towards the feet as we come a little bit deeper into this posture. Let's take a few cycles of breath. And we'll start to rise, coming back up to a nice tall seat. And let's switch positions so that we can change our body. We're going to come into a tabletop to come into a downward dog. So we're going to flip our legs around to a tabletop. And we'll take the hands right about here. And then take all 10 toes, flip them underneath, push back towards those knees and just hover them above the mat for a moment, feeling the stretch into the calves and the arches of the feet, and just getting used to that sensation. You should feel like your hands are almost sliding away or pushing into the floor at the angle that they are in this position. And then practice tucking your chin towards your chest here too, as we would in our downward dog. And now on this last one, we're going to go ahead and take the lift off, rising the pelvis towards the sky. So we push off of those knees, lift all the way up, dropping those heels back down. Now I'm going to move a little bit here. We're going to take our time taking one leg straight and one leg bent. So as we did the bent knee, positioning laying on the floor. That helped to get our soleus muscle in the deep calf. This is helping to get a little bit more of the bulky muscle, the gastrocnemius in the back of the calf. So just slight variations in what our focus is. As we do this, let's drop our chest a little closer towards our thighs, really trying to tuck the chin to the chest so that the gaze is towards the navel. And then we're going to take both heels down towards the floor at the same time, feeling that nice stretch on both calf muscles. Pushing your chest, tucking your chin, trying to push the floor away from the shoulders, but also keeping space between the neck and the shoulders. Trying to find some of that traction and relaxation in your downward dog. We're going to go ahead and take that right leg, bending it, shooting it up to the sky just for a brief moment. And then as we bring it back down, we're going to step on the outside of the hand. So I know I'm kind of partial in view here. We're going to take this nice lunge here. Now it's your choice. You can totally drop the left knee, and this is still going to help you get a nice deep stretch. If you want to be a little more active tonight, you can keep it elevated and your hands planted against the mat. So you can see I've got the leg on the outside of the palms. This leg is trying to go straight. I believe we did this one last week, so it should be semi-familiar. And we're reaching through the crown of the head, trying to achieve a really nice hip opener stretch. Couple more cycles of breath, let's say 3. Now, if your leg is elevated, we're all gonna drop it together and uncurl those toes. And this right foot here, what we're gonna do is just let it flop out to the side so that the edge, let me turn my body a little bit, so that the edge of the outer border of that foot is what's holding and supporting you up. So if we just let that drop a little bit, we start to feel a really nice hip opener. It's a little different than pigeon because we're a little more elevated. So some people might find this a little bit more accessible to get that hip rotated. And so we still want to keep that chest nice and open and lifted, just as we did in our other groin stretch. Lifting through the crown of the head. Gosh, that feels fantastic. Sometimes I get caught up in the pose and know I'm instructing, but it feels so good to just breathe and feel into that posture. And that's how yoga should feel for you. It should feel good. It should take you out of your mind and into your body and into the sensations that we can create at any point. It's just a wonderful thing. See if you can sink a little lower. Some of you may even be able to drop down to your forearms. That's a very deep stretch. I will not be achieving that one today, but it is a possibility to drop down. I feel fantastic right here. Let's go ahead and push back to a neutral foot, and then we're going to push back so that that leg becomes part of our tabletop. That same right leg, we're going to take and elevate it, kicking the heel back and behind us, and then cross it over the leg. Sorry, I know I'm kind of out of screen here. It's kind of hard to get everything. There we go. So lifting up, extending, cross it around, drop the toes down, and then look over your left shoulder towards those toes. Charming, please. I just got in view. Over here. Charming. Go lay down somewhere. Let's go ahead and take that leg, bring it back, drop it down, curl under all the toes, push back up into downward dog, tucking the chin. This one should start to feel a little bit smoother If you want to pedal out for another moment, that's welcomed. Drop both heels down. Reach the left leg back for just a brief moment, and then step it forward to the outside of the left hands. Again, that may not be a smooth transition as I said it, but that's where the foot's gonna head. And then we've got our hands to support us on the floor. That back knee, or your right knee, can drop. That's totally fine. You're still gonna get a nice stretch. In fact, you'll probably just sink into it a little bit deeper with gravity. This is a little bit more of an active stretch where you gain a little bit more strength in the thigh. So just depends on what your intention is for this moment. Baby. Go ahead and lower that back right knee, all of us together if it wasn't already there. Charming, my love. All right, and then we're gonna take the left foot and just roll it out onto the edge, getting that really nice hip rotator. You might get a little like weird rolling and almost like a pinchy sensation on that hip. So just, you know, kind of wiggle into it, make any adjustments that you need, you know, flexing and extending a little bit more through the hip. It's a tight area, so you very well may feel some weird sensations, but if we can allow ourselves to breathe into those weird sensations and tight sensations, then they are very likely to change. They're just temporary. Perhaps we avoid those sensations because they are uncomfortable, and then we never get to move past what they are. And that's much like life in general and obstacles. So if we can breathe into those hard sensations and trust that it's temporary and know that things will change, then they will change. And then we have a new range that we can reach, whether it's in our lives or in our actual muscles. Gosh, that feels so good. Let's go ahead and push the foot back to a flat surface and then start to push back into that leg, taking yourself back into that tabletop. The left leg then will extend it back, reaching up through the heel. Take that leg, cross it over to the back side, and then look over your shoulder towards that foot. And then start to take your trunk back to neutral. Take that leg, reach it back, and we're going to drop it down into child's pose. Just take the cat-cow with me, inhaling, lifting up through the chest. Exhaling, rounding through the back, chin to chest. And then releasing back to, let's come to a seated position for a moment. Whatever seated position you'd like. How are we doing on time? Pretty good. Okay. Let's take our hands. We're going to do another chest opener. So from a seated position, hands are going to come behind the body, taking whatever grip you can. And if you can't grab your hands, then this might be where a strap or some sort of object to kind of bring your hands into a grip may be helpful. So we'll take whatever we can here. Extend the elbows, open up the chest. You can even choose to have those hands elevated off the floor, or you can go ahead and rest on them to help push into the floor and find just a little bit more opening through our chest and heart center. I'm gonna just let my head, my gaze come up a little bit so that throat gets to experience a little stretch sensation. So again, it can be resting on the floor, or you can just be holding it and hovering above the mat. I kind of like this rested position right now. It feels right. We're going to start to slide the hands back towards the center of our body. Now I'm going to turn around for this one because I think it'll be easier to conceptualize. I'm going to do one more stretch for the arms and the shoulders. So with my right arm, I'm going to come all the way up and touch the top of my back. And with my left arm, I'm going to come under to try and get the fingertips to touch. Now, they may or may not touch, but we're going to intend on that direction. And then take your elbows and move them towards the back. So I'm lifting my right elbow up towards the sky, and I'm moving the left elbow backward so that it squeezes the spine, squeezes the tissues of your back. And then we're going to slowly release. Take the arms up above the head. Exhale. And then swap sides. So the left arm is going to come up touching the top of the back. The right hand will come to the small of the back. This is my tighter side. Oh, I'm already running over. That happens quick. And then move the elbow backward. Move the left elbow backward and just feel that squeeze sensation. Now that you guys get it, I'm going to flip back around. And then we'll release. Let's take those arms, lifting them all the way back up straight again. And exhale, hands to heart center. So perhaps this is your time to settle in, or maybe it's just the start of your day and you're just getting going. So choose your Shavasana position, whether you want to be laying on your back. Maybe you choose to take a seated Shavasana. Maybe you lie on your side. It's really up to you. Shavasana is just your resting pose. So traditionally corpse, but it really can be whatever makes you feel comfortable. So for my purposes, I'm going to go ahead and just have a seat. So find yourself in your comfortable position. Close your eyes. Take a long inhale. And exhale. A couple more times. Take in the abundance of the universe, and then release your gratitude to the universe. Let's take our hands together. The light and honor in me respects and honors the light within all of you. Namaste.